Hi, this is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and today is Tuesday, February the 21st, and this will be our chart lesson for today. It's really a choppy range type day so far. It's about a quarter to two. I'm doing the chart lesson a little early today. It's a beautiful spring-like day here in the deep south, and my son has a baseball game today, so I'm going to take off early and go watch him play baseball, enjoy the nice weather we're having, the unusual spring-like weather we're getting here in February. So, and it's pretty much been a range type day. There's been some good setups with some nice moves, but you had to be very patient on them and wait for the setups per the rules as we teach them. And so I'm going to go over some of these, and I'm going to try to keep it to under 10 minutes today and wrap this thing up and get out of here. But as you can see, we had a trading range from the overnight that pretty much spilled over from the holiday trading yesterday. We had a gap from the holiday trading as well, and we filled that gap basically, and then tried to rally, and we couldn't get back above the. We couldn't really sustain anything above the previous highs. We couldn't even make these highs here, and then prices began to sell off again. And there were some nice setups here, and there was a couple of trades to the upside, but we got stuck in this stuff, and there's really only one or two ways to trade it, and that's to wait on the failed breakout or the traps, really. And we had a couple of those, and we've got this double bottom here, and we're failing out the bottom. My guess is before it's over, we'll be trading back up in here. We could do a breakout pullback and or a retest that turns into a breakout pullback short and go lower. Sometimes when you get caught in a trading range like this, you'll get a leg that's similar to this leg over here. But my guess is we're probably going to rally up out of here and get back, at least come back to the EMA or retest this. We'll see what happens. Maybe that'll wrap up before I get done here and we can look and just watch. But this is a nice reversal setting up here. So this might even be a place you want to look to get long, but I don't have time to do a trade example, or I might even do a trade setup here. But let's talk about what we did have, and we'll just watch this and see if this turns into a great long. My guess is this would be a great place to get long right now, and we'll just see how it works out. Maybe it'll wrap up before we get finished here. But let me spread this out a little bit so we can better see it. And again, if you come in tight, you can see the range. Here, the opening was right in here around this double top out of this trading range here. And we had a nice move down just after the 8:30 open, and we bounced right down here from the support from 2 days prior, and prices rallied back up, and then we found our resistance up here, and then we've traded back down, and now I think we're probably going to have a failed break lower here that's probably going to trade at least back up to the EMA and maybe back up to the other side here. So. But anyway, let's spread this out where we can see a little better, talk about the trades that do look pretty good today. This was our first trade right after the open. You can see it's a nice double top, and we'll just use this line here. We'll slide it down. And you should have had your line right about there because there were your last two closes, or even if you had it here or here. But generally, I try to use the closes because they give you a good idea. And so you can see we had this trend line coming down through here. We had this double top right here, and prices broke higher, found resistance at that same area, and turned down, and this was a great place to go short. And you could have gone short off this doji. A lot of times, you know, dojis are not a good entry, but because we had this somewhat of a trend line, because we had the double top, and because of this possible trend line, it was okay to go short here. Plus, this is a second entry short. If you can see, there's one leg, pull back, two legs. So this is a two-legged pullback, giving us a second entry short off a double top. And even if you didn't take it here, there was another opportunity to enter right here, definitely on that big bearish bar that opened up here and closed on its very low. And regardless of where you entered, you should have been looking for prices to at least come down and test this. And you can see we broke right on through that before they tried to reverse it, and then we tried to break lower again, and prices finally reversed up out of here. So this was a great entry right here, right out of the gate. And if you caught this, you know, you're looking at probably 5 points, easy 5 points, definitely 4 points out of this move down through here for the morning. And right out of the gate, you got a nice profit in the bank. And you know, if you're trading even a single contract, that's not bad. But if you're trading multiple contracts, that's a pretty good take right there, right out of the gate. And you could have gone long down here. Remember, we had our double bottom down here from previous, so we had kind of support right across here. And it was going back and forth as support and resistance, so you know this is probably going to be an important area across here. And prices formed a double bottom right there. And generally you want to wait on a second entry long, which would have been over here, but there's no real good setup here. The best setup was here, and this was a second entry long to a degree. We actually had a little two-legged pullback right here, but it's more of a congestion area than anything, and so prices broke lower and failed and reversed. So you could have gone long right in here, and if you had of, you can see that prices did stall and they came back, but as long as you kept your stop below your original signal bar, there was no chance of getting stopped out. Your trade would have been safe, and this would have been a nice run up through here. Definitely an easy scalp, and it's a possibility depending on where you entered, but if you entered back down here, your runners were safe and you could have got a nice scalp, and then your runners and rode it all the way back up here to the other side. I actually exited right here because of the previous, and you see it generally that gave me a pretty good exit before we went into this. And once you went into all this, it's definitely a great place to exit because there's a good chance prices will reverse right here. And all we do is move this up to the last closes, which would have been right in here. And you can see this is just a congestion area is all that is. And prices actually broke lower first, so there was a long here. And plus we had a little bit of a trend line, even though it's a short-term trend line, we had a little bit of a trend line up through here. And this was our first break, so we know there's probably going to be a retest. There's enough room to scalp out before getting back up here to the highs. So this was a good long right here. And it did get kind of dicey because of these three overlapping bars and the dojis. But you could have even gone long right here. But this was still okay because there's a failed breakout right here. There's a trap. And generally you will see this is what will happen. Sometimes it'll take these reversals a few minutes to pick up steam, and then they shoot off. Once they start breaking higher, people realize they've been tricked, and they start either exiting or jumping on, and that drives the market quickly higher. And all we did was break up here to a new high above this previous resistance, which was really probably right along there, but I probably would have moved it up as we got these closes. And there was a nice short right here coming back down. And you know, even if prices are going to go higher, this is still a great short because prices almost always fail and pull back and test some previous area. And we actually had support across here now, and you can see, and then when we broke lower here and failed, you would have moved your support down to those closes. And you can see right there, it took a little bit of work to get through there. And there was actually a short right here. I didn't mark it because it's not a great short, but let me show you. The trend is up. We're making higher highs and higher lows, and we just made a new high here. We pull back. There's your first entry long. We pull back again, and there's your second entry long. So this is a failed second entry long to begin with. We're at a strong resistance area, and we've got this fairly decent leg right here, so there's a good odds that we'll get a second leg, and that's just all this move is right here is a measured leg equal to this. In case you didn't see this, you see there's the first leg, and then if you measure that, move it over, there's your second leg. So there's your nice, almost, actually that's pretty much that is a perfect measured move. You see there's the high and the low, and then there's the high and low of that leg, and we had a little breakout pullback short that's set up right here, and that's what that is. So you could have entered right here, and if you didn't enter on this breakout pullback short, you see here we had this support across here. And there's the breakout. We pulled back and tested that to the tick right across there, right across those closes like I always try to show you. And you can see that was kind of a resistance all the way across there. And then when we broke out and we came back and tested that, you could have gone short right here. It stalled a minute, but as long as your stop was above this or at 2 points, you were okay. And if you didn't enter here, you definitely should have entered right here, because this is a additional attempt to go higher that failed instantly and turned back down. So that was a good sign that prices were going lower, and that's basically a long trap, because that's a second entry long following what looked like a failed break lower, and so that's a failed failure. And I know that's getting a little complicated, and I don't want to complicate things too much, but just remember the rule: anytime the market attempts something twice and fails, it's likely to succeed in going much further in the opposite direction. So we tried to go higher on this breakout. We broke lower, and it tried to go higher twice and failed both times. So if you didn't go short right here, you definitely should have gone short right here, and it was a nice ride down. And I probably would have exited right here. I didn't take this trade. I was through trading by then. But I probably would have exited right here. But you can see why sometimes it pays, if you got a runner, to let it keep going, because even though it looked like this was going to reverse and make a higher low, prices broke lower. And again, look, twice we tried to go up once, we tried to go up twice, formed a double top. So that's a double test, and then we had a pretty good sell-off. And look, I figured we were probably going to reverse there, and you see how prices are still going lower. So we may get a measured leg based off of this move right here down to this side. So again, we'll continue to watch this until I finish up. We're about 11 minutes here. I think I've covered all the trades. Those were the great setups. There were some other trades in here. Like always, I don't cover them all. I try to cover the main ones, and I try to stay away from the ones that are iffy or too risky. And I try to stay with the what I call key entry points. And just remember, the key entry points are always pullbacks to the trend lines and the EMAs, and test of former strong support or former strong resistance. That's where most of your key entry points are going to happen. And you can see we tested the trend line and the EMA here, and look, there's your best move of the morning. Look right here. We tested this support area, and there's your best move after that move. And again, we tested resistance up here, and we tested it many times before prices gave up, and then look, there's your best move of the day. So these key entry points are where you're going to be looking to enter. And sure, there's entries in here in between. They're not great entries, but there's entries. Some of them are not bad, but there's other entries. But if you follow the rules and you're patient and you wait on the key entry points, that's when you give yourself the best chance to make money. And sometimes you might get tricked in a little early. It's possible you could have got tricked in here early on this move right here. But as you see, by the time you got ready to go short here, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 overlapping bars. And this one's a doji, and this one's a doji. So that's not really, and most of the prices have been above the EMA. The trend had kind of been up, so no reason to go short yet. So we wait on this trap on this second entry long right here, and then when that failed up here at this resistance area, then that's a good place to think about getting short. And if you didn't get short there, you could have waited and got short right here. I didn't mark this one because, again, you had to get short below 1, 2, 3 overlapping bars in a doji. So that's why I didn't mark that one. It's better to wait on the breakout pullback short. But if you took this short, that's okay, because there's a failed second entry long, and that set up a trap at a strong resistance area and so that means the odds are strong that we're probably going to go lower. So these are the things you got to remember. Just try to stay with the key entry points. And again, the key entry points are pullbacks to the trend line and the EMA. And the EMA is just kind of a moving trend line almost, so it helps keep you on the right side a lot of times. So, and the other key entry points are going to be strong resistance areas and strong support areas. And so you definitely should have been looking for a long when prices got down in here, but we never really got a good long. The only decent setup might have been here, but again, prices didn't close all the way on the high. This looks more like a doji, and by sticking to that rule of waiting for your strong entries, you wouldn't have got long there. But my guess is all they're going to do is run the stops a little lower here, and we're going to eventually come back up here and at least test this breakout area. We didn't quite get back there right there, but that was because the bears still had the momentum. And you see now we're starting to get a trend bar. And again, you don't want to enter till this thing closes, because even though it looks really bullish now, this thing might reverse and close on this low down here. So they'll trick you like that as well. But anyway, I want to wrap it up. We're at about 15 minutes now, and I was going to try to keep it to 10. And hopefully you had a good trading day today. Again, it wasn't much happening, so if you didn't see a whole lot of entries, that's okay because there weren't a whole lot of entries. I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 really decent entries, and there were some more in there. And hopefully you saw them even if you didn't take them, just because you're learning price action. But we'll try it again tomorrow, and I'll see you tomorrow. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.